Hi friends! Welcome back to another ukulele tutorial. Today we're looking at the sound of silence. This is one of my favorite Simon Garfunkel songs. It's so beautiful, and we're going to use a very easy fingerpicking pattern to play through the entire song. This pattern uses only 3 strings, strings A, E, and C. Or you can look at them as strings 1, 2, and 3. Here's what this pattern looks like. This song uses only 4 chords, and because our fingerpicking pattern uses only 3 strings, it's very easy to play these chords. In fact, 3 out of the 4 chords are 1-finger chords, so it's very easy to play them, and it's easy to transition between them. This song is made up of 5 verses. Verses 1 and 2 are played the exact same way. When we get into verses 3, 4, and 5, there are some slight variations, so we'll take a close look at how to play each verse. Throughout this lesson, you'll find the lyrics, chords, and pattern on screen. And if you'd like to download the song sheet as a PDF, you can do so from my Patreon page, along with my songbook that has all of the songs that I've covered in my tutorials. Now I'll start this lesson by playing and singing through verse 1 so you can hear how it sounds. And then we'll take a close look at our fingerpicking pattern and how to apply it to the chords and chord changes in this song. Here's our first verse, starting with our introduction. Hello darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. Now let's take a look at the pattern that we'll use throughout this song. Here's how it sounds played slowly on a C chord. I'm playing strings 3, 1, 2, 1. I like to use my thumb on the 3rd string and the 2nd string, and my index finger on the 1st string, so I'm alternating between my thumb and my index finger. You can also use your thumb, index finger, and middle finger if you prefer this fingering. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and. So we'll apply this pattern to every 2 beats of this song. As we bring this pattern up to the tempo of this song, it will sound like this. You can practice this pattern just on a C chord to start off to get the pattern in your right hand and then bring it up to tempo. We're starting off the introduction of this song with our D sus2 chord. This is a beautiful chord, and if we were to play it through all 4 strings, it would sound like this. This chord is the 2nd fret of strings 3 and 4. However, because our pattern covers only strings 1, 2, and 3, then we only have to play the 2nd fret of the 3rd string to play this chord, which I'm doing with my middle finger. Now taking a look at our introduction, you'll notice the number 2 in red in parentheses next to the D sus2 chord name. This means that we'll play our pattern twice on this chord, and I've indicated throughout this song for this lesson how many times to play our pattern on each chord. So we'll start our introduction by playing our pattern twice on D sus2, and then moving into verse 1, we'll stay on D sus2 and play our pattern twice more, go to our C chord. You can play C with either your pinky or your ring finger. I find it a bit easier to transition between D sus2 and C using my pinky. We'll play our pattern 4 times on C. And then we go back to D sus2 to play our pattern 3 more times, which will carry us over to the beginning of line 2. Next we have our F chord, and because we're only playing the first 3 strings, we can play F using only our index finger on the first fret of the 2nd string. We'll play our pattern once on F, and then going to B flat. For B flat, I'm placing my middle finger on the 1st fret of the 1st string and my ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. We'll play our pattern once on B flat, and then we're going to lift up our ring finger and middle finger to go back to F. We'll play our pattern 3 times on F, then going back to B flat for 1 pattern, and then back to F for 2 patterns. In line 3, we're going back to B flat for 4 patterns, and then back to F for 3 patterns, we finish line 3 with 1 pattern on D sus2, and then in line 4, we go back to F for 1 pattern, then we go to C for 2 patterns, and we finish on D sus2 with 2 patterns. Here's how it sounds to play the introduction through the first verse, instrumental only. Verse 2 is played the same way as verse 1. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. If you're enjoying this lesson, please hit the like button and thank you for subscribing. Now we've covered verses 1 and 2, so let's move into verses 3, 4, and 5 and the slight variations that we need to keep in mind as we play through the rest of the song. In verse 3, we have one slight difference in our chord progression. The F chord at the end of line 2 is held for 6 beats, or 3 full patterns, rather than only 2 patterns. Starting on the words without listening, we're on our B flat chord, and we'll play our pattern once on B flat, and then 3 times on F, carrying over into the 3rd line, and then we go back to our B flat chord over the word songs. Now adding in the lyrics over these chords. Without listening, people writing songs. Now here's the entire third verse. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs that voices never share. No one dare disturb the sound of silence. We have another variation in verse 4 compared to verses 1 and 2. The variation here is at the beginning of line 4. We're going to play our pattern twice on our F chord rather than once. Here's how it sounds to add in the lyrics to line 4. And echoed in the wells of silence. One more thing to highlight on verse 4 is that the third line only has lyrics for half of the line. So for the second half of line 3, we're going to play our F and D sus2 chords, but we won't have any lyrics to go along with them. So starting from the word raindrops. Raindrops fell. And here's the entire fourth verse. Fools said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell. And echoed in the wells of silence. Verse 5 has both of the variations from verses 3 and 4. So at the end of line 2, we'll play our pattern 3 times on F rather than twice. And at the beginning of line 4, we'll play our pattern twice on F rather than once. As we finish line 4 and approach the end of the song, we can start slowing down the tempo on our D sus2 chord. And we can end the song by picking the 3rd string. Now here's the entire 5th verse. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sounds of silence. I hope you've enjoyed learning this beautiful and simple pattern to play the sound of silence. Have fun practicing, and thanks for watching. In the words that it was forming, and the sign said the words of the prophets are